Our goal here is to create a first Google presentation. We're going to look at searching and inserting images. We're going to look at transitions and animations, and we're going to embed a video. And finally, we'll talk quickly about how to share your presentation. So before you even start, and I would like you to follow along with these steps and create your own presentation, would you please open a Chrome browser, go to YouTube and select a video of your choice. And notice I'm in YouTube right now, and I happen to pick a video about Google presentations. We're going to make a Google presentation, but I happen to pick a YouTube video to teach you more about Google presentations. So this could be an additional source after you finish this tutorial video. So I'm going to just keep this open because I want to use this URL address for this YouTube video in a couple minutes. Okay, then in my Chrome browser, I'm going to click to open a new tab, and I'm going to go to drive.google, and it'll probably auto-complete for you. And of course, your screen will look different. You'll be at your Google Drive, and we're going to choose Create, and we're going to create a presentation. And before I can even get up there to retitle it, which I know, rename it, which I should do first, it's going to ask me to choose a sample design, and you can choose a blank one. I'm going to choose this that should look familiar if you've been in my computer science class. We used this theme the very first day for our welcome presentation, so I'll choose this one. And here what we're going to do is learn about, and let's see if I can spell that correctly, learn about presentations. And I can make that fit. I would like to make that text smaller, so that is selected. So I would like it to fit in that box, and I didn't, I guess, have it selected. Let's try that again. Let's make that a little bit smaller. And here what I'm going to do for sake of anyone who comes upon this video later is I'm going to tell you that I'm making this video on July 8th, 2014 because what happens with Google is in 2 weeks something will be different. So if you're not watching this video close to July 8th, things might look a little bit different. All right, to insert a new slide, we go to this plus sign or the insert menu. You can find things two different places, but this plus sign, when we're choosing a theme, it gives us our choices of styles. So I'm going to choose this title only, and what we're going to do on this slide is search and insert an image. And to insert, of course, we see the Insert tab, and image is one of the choices. Once you get used to these buttons, though, the image button always looks like a picture of mountains, so here it is also on this ribbon, so that's a shorter way to insert an image. Both of them do the same thing. It will open up this box. And you've got choices. If you've already got an image open, you can actually drag it from one window onto this window, or you can choose an image to upload from your files. This will give you a browse window to take you to your own folders, or you could insert it by URL. And I haven't chosen an image yet, and why should I if I'm in Google? Google's got the greatest search engine, so why not? Inside our Google presentation, go to search, and here's our Google image search. So I'm just going to search for an image of, I was trying to type pyramid here. And when I let it search, oh, I guess it's not going to find pyramid spelled that way. Let's try actually looking for pyramid, sorry. And then you can scroll through to find the image of your choice. So I'm just very quickly going to do two things here. Scroll to pick the image that you like. I'm going to choose this image, but before I double click on it or single click and hit select, I'm going to copy the URL address of that image to the clipboard, and you'll see why. You might not have to do that step, but students in my class, I'm going to ask you to use that URL address also. So I can just double click on this photo and it will insert it, or single click and then choose to select. And when it comes in, it is an object, so I can drag its corners and resize it. And then what I would like my students to do, go to the text box button and draw a text box. And I'm going to ask you to tell me the source of your photo. So I'm going to type photo source and then Control V. What did I paste onto the clipboard a minute ago? The URL address of this video, of this image. And of course, those tend to be very long. So I'm going to highlight it and I'm going to choose a very small font. It's unlikely that someone really is going to check that URL, but I might want to be able to go to that site, or I might want to find out where you got that from. And I could select everything in this text box. And of course, you can choose all of your options to change your font, change the color of the font, and so on. So formatting text, I don't think that will cause you any trouble. Okay, then let's talk about the transitions and animations. If you don't see some of these objects, by the way, then you should see the More option. So I'm going to, when I don't have anything selected, this is generally the choices that you'll see up here. So I'm going to choose transition, and here it includes animations and transitions in one panel. So you'll notice that it says this slide has no transition, and if I want to change that, so no transition has a pull down here, and I'm going to choose any of these options. And each slide, you can go here on slides individually and give them each their own transition, but I'm going to apply this to all slides, so they're all going to rotate in that cube transition. And then I'm going to select my title, and then notice that Add Animation comes up. So the animation will be on whatever object you have selected. So I'm going to let this fade in on the click. I might decide that I want it to fade in more slowly. So notice it tells you how many seconds as you drag on this slider. So it's a little bit different than PowerPoint, but you'll figure it out pretty quickly. I can select on our image and I can add an animation. And my animation doesn't have to be, oops, sorry, let me try that again. I clicked and closed it. I don't necessarily want it to be fade in. I can pull down and see my other choices. So we could have that spin when we do a click, or you can have it set up so that it'll spin after the previous, which means as soon as the title appears, then this photo would spin into our slide. And you can experiment with animations and transitions. Not as many choices available as in PowerPoint, but enough. And now let's add another slide. And this time what's left is I want to do a video, and I can choose any one of these designs, but this one will work fine. And now our choice here, what we're going to do is embed a video. And I already asked you before you started to have a video selected. So in my Google Presentation tab here, that's the name of my video. That's my YouTube tab. So pause your video if you need to still go search for a choice from YouTube. You're not limited to using YouTube, but because YouTube is a Google product, watch how easy it is if you find your video in YouTube. So I'm going to go to Insert. I don't see an icon that looks like Movie. If I click on More, I would probably find it. But if you don't see what you want, of course, you can find it in the menu. And the button for video looks like, this is supposed to be the little clapper board that movie makers use every time they start a theme or a scene of a movie. So I'm going to insert video, And if you clicked on more, you could expand to find choices there as well, but I didn't see it very quickly, so I'm going to go to Insert Video. And I can search for it. If I haven't already found it, I could pause now and just find it by doing a search within my presentation, but I already know the URL, so I click here, paste your YouTube URL here, so Control V, oops, sorry, that's my image URL. Don't make that mistake, let me delete that. I think I hovered over this tab for the YouTube video, but I didn't actually go get it. So let me go back, let me click on that tab. So notice I'm in YouTube right now. So this is my URL address about this Google presentation about presentations. So my video is about the same topic. So I copied the URL from YouTube. I'm going back to my presentation, and now I can do Control V. And I know that's a YouTube link, obviously, because it says YouTube, but also because it immediately shows me that I picked the video that I wanted. And then I can just hit select. Of course, if you picked the wrong one, just paste over and put in a new URL. So we click select. It comes in as an object, and you can resize the viewing window. So you can actually make your embed window the size that you want. It would make sense to have as large as you can. And notice the last thing I pasted was the URL address of that video. So I'm going to choose the text tool, and I'm going to make a text box, and I'm going to say video source, colon, and Control V. Again, there's the URL of my video. Something interesting, let me actually change the shape and size of this text box, something that you might find interesting. When you have this text box selected, let me go to more and change the color of that text so you can see it. In this text box, the alignment options, you're used to seeing this as our left align, or we can choose center or right justify, but there's also these buttons here for the vertical alignment. So I don't know why I would want to do it, but for demonstration purposes, let me choose this middle vertical align. So do you see what it did is it took that and lined it up vertically within the text box. Okay, and that's fine for the purpose of this video. And now the thing that I didn't do right away, I have to rename this document. So you don't want to have 50 untitled documents. So we could call this experiment with presentation, or whatever you want to title it. That's what will show up on your Google Drive list. And you can, as soon as we finish this video, you can go view the one you've created. So I'm not going to do that during this video, but let's quickly take a look at share. If you do not do anything with the share button, then notice the default is that our video is private and I created it, so I am the only one who is the owner of this video. I can share it, and if I share it, then I will get a choice of, do I want to let others view it? Do I want to let them view it and edit it? But I'm going to leave this. If I want to change the share settings, so if I click done here, then it will stay as private. If I want to change that, then I have to, not surprisingly, click on the word change. And my share settings, I could make this public on the web if you wanted to actually publish it. You can choose, and this is what I would normally do myself, choose to make it available to anyone with the link. So if I give them the link, then they can run it. And if I give them access, do I want to let them view it, edit it, comment? Which of those? If you let them edit it, then of course you're letting them view it. So I only want to let them view the video, but these would be higher levels of sharing. So I don't want someone to change my video this time. It's not collaborative. So once I've hit the change settings Then watch what happens when I hit the Save button. I go back to this screen and notice that every Google document or file you create, you get a URL address. So it is highlighted. So if I do a Control C right now, that URL address will be on the clipboard. And then I could go to Gmail and send off that URL address to whoever I want to share it with. As a teacher, I would go paste that into my class website. However you want to share that URL address is up to you. Or you can do this option and invite people by putting in their email addresses, and then they would receive an email with the URL address in it. And you can come back to the sharing options anytime. You can change your mind later. So I think that's about all you need to know. I'll click Done. And then what you can do is go to the View menu to see your presentation, or like PowerPoint, you can do Control F5 to start your presentation. And then you can come back and edit it if you've had any mistakes.